This is our 22nd year in Louisville, and it's the 47th altogether.
47 years of the National Street Rod Association's Supreme Showcase. A lot of cars to cull from, hence the next 4 episodes highlight the top dream rides. Welcome to Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides. There are so many street rods here in Louisville, we've broken them up into groups for each show, starting with the Builders Showcase.
Builder Showcase is an area we set aside for about 20 builders around the United States that bring examples of their work here, let the members look at them and see the kind of work that they do. Beautiful cars, and I'll tell you what, it is an amazing thing. And I tell folks, you'll never see all these cars together again at one place.
I've been coming here since 1970 for the Street Rod Nationals. So yeah, it is good. I don't believe I'm sitting here right now. The vehicle is a 1929 Ford Roadster. It's all steel. My wife and I got married 50 years ago, and we had a 29 Ford at that time. And about a year and a half ago, we had a 50th anniversary coming up. And I mentioned to her about building a car for our 50th anniversary. And we contacted Precision Hot Rods to build us a 29 Ford Roadster. I met with Danny and the people at Precision Hot Rods and decided to order an all-steel body from Brooksville. I told them I wanted the four-wheel independent suspension. I wanted four-wheel disc brakes to put cruise control on it. I'm really not a Ford guy, but I decided to put a Ford in this. It's a 302 Ford. It's got a crate motor. Summit Racing. It's got about 350 horse and automatic transmission, overdrive. I'm really pleased with it. And then they started working on the body and the frame. The frame they made themselves, so it's all fabricated by Precision Hot Rods. From there we just toss things back and forth on what we wanted done, little things, type of interior, the dashboard, different gauges, what kind of wheels. In fact, last year at this meet, we ordered the wheels. You can buy anything you want here. So a year and a half later, first time I've seen it complete, especially the interior, and that was on Thursday. Can't wait to drive it.
1957 Chevy Bel Air. With anything like the 32 Fords, the 33 and 4 Fords, the Tri-Fis, we do a ton of Tri-Fi stuff. You just have to think outside the box. The satin approach is actually a little harder than the exterior clear because you can sand and buff out any imperfections. Once you spray the flat clear, it's done. That's a Don Hardy race engines out of Floydada, Texas. LSX 454, Kinsler electronic fuel injection, cross ram intake. I mean, that was a big undertaking to get all of that apart. I mean, I think there's over 50 pieces to that intake when you take it apart to paint it or plate it. That was a chore in itself. But I think the motor dynoed about 720 at the flywheels, backed by CCI's 6-speed automatic transmission. It has our Street Force chassis under it now that we build in-house. It's a flat-out dream to drive. It's really a fun car to drive. The bumpers on this car, if I had to guess without looking, probably a couple of 100 to 250 hours each. Welding them up, making them one-piece bumpers, changing them, sucking them in, narrowing them, and then we send them to advanced plating. The interior is done by Dad, Mr. Dooley. He's awesome. Me and my dad are real close, so he's a hell of an upholstery guy. I mean, he's done that his whole life. He's the best I know. But we come from very humble beginnings, small shop in West Texas. We're very proud of all of our guys, very, very proud.
It's a 1952 International pickup truck. It's a model L110. At first I looked at it and said, man, what an ugly truck. The owners are Dave and Cindy Cotillius. He dropped it off, and after a few crown rails, he said, do whatever I want. So we did tons and tons of body mods on the truck. We took 2 inches out of each fender, 2 inches out of front of the hood. We pie cut the hood. The roof has been not chopped, but we pancaked the top of the hood and lowered the rear 2 windows down 2 inches as well. All the windows are flush mounted, and everybody thinks we elongated the bed. It's a factory 8-foot bed. It's sitting on an R. Morrison chassis and Willwood brakes. Got Foose wheels. The front 2 grills on the truck are original, and it took me 3 months to find because it's very hard to find parts for this truck. But all the bumpers are one-offs. We made that in-house. I work hand in hand with PPG. I product test a lot of their products, and we use a lot of their new crystalline pearl in this color. And it took me like 3 months to make this color. I was aiming for a glass of Merlot wine. This is actually a base coat clear coat. This is not a candy. The interior was done by Tracy Weaver of Recovery Room in Nebraska. The gauges are Dakota Digital. The steering wheel is off the 1964 Avante, and the horn bezel is off the 64 Scout, which took me a while to find that. Power plant is a Ford Coyote. We made it into a Boss, which puts out a little bit under 500 horsepower. It's got a 6-speed Tremec in it. It's a nice little driver.
More of the NSRA Builder Showcase when Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides returns. Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Racestar Wheels, high-performance alloy wheels for passenger automobiles and a variety of racing vehicles. Evapo Rust, super safe rust remover. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. In the creation of street rods, imagination is pretty much the only limitation.
1931 Ford Roadster. The customer came to us wanting to build a nice car to take to the Grand National Roadster Show for the Amber. He wanted it to be like late 50s, 60s style. We went back and forth between color and engine and ended up choosing the 331 Hemi. It's got throttle bodies that look like Stromberg carburetors, so it's all fuel injection. The body is a Brookville body. We just modified it. And the frame is American stamping, like frame rails, and then the rest of it we completely built. The cross members, we cut it, made it fit the body, and we channeled the body 1.5 inches. We made a whole custom floor in it. We made a custom bumper to finish off the back and a nice license plate with a tube light and Pontiac taillights back there. They're just custom stainless headers. They have a little baffle in them, but they're pretty much open. He wanted them to come out and then angle like right up to your ear. And then we ended up angling down because it would just been too much for driving it on the street and having them angle at you for noise and everything. Tailored it to his liking and ours too.
Was a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. It was in decent shape. We had to do some rust repair. So it's got an LT1 engine that we did a custom engine cover on, custom fender wells, covered the front radiator so you can't see it when you walk up to the car. On the interior, we did dash covers. Let's see, it's got a 93 Corvette rear end under it. It's got Heights front A-arms under it, all Willwood disc brakes, Budnick wheels. We did a lot of work underneath the car also. The outside we tried to keep kind of more of a stock body appearance with it just being lowered. Tried to do a real slick paint job on it, make it stand out that way. You just have to do the best you can, and things kind of change throughout the build. So you just start doing stuff and try to please the customer and do it the way they want it. We try to add in some of our own custom touches and, to change it up a little bit.
'63 Thunderbird. This started life as a drawing in Street Rodder magazine about 3 years ago, and this one appeared kind of as a spoof, really. It was a what if Ford had decided to race their Thunderbird in 1963 instead of building the Cobra to go to Le Mans. The car started life as a stock '63 Thunderbird coupe. We had a custom chassis built for it from Art Morrison Enterprises. The car started out as a unibody, so we cut the entire frame and floor out of it and slid just the outer body shell down over the Art Morrison frame and built new body mounts for it. So the car will handle a lot better than it ever did before, plus we saved some weight. We were trying to portray this as something that might have been built by Ford to actually race as a factory endurance race car. So we used Ford colors from 1963. We just kind of used our imaginations as we went through it. We tried to hide all the modern mechanics under the hood and under the car, so you really don't see that. It looks more like a car that would have been built in 1963. It's a Ford Windsor racing block that's bored and stroked to 408 cubic inches. Should make about 600 horsepower. The hardest part on the whole car was, of course, the metal shaping to get the fender flares done right, the hood scoop done right, to give it that race car look. We just barely got it finished in time to get here with it, so we haven't even actually had it out and driven it yet. But the plans are to actually use the car for what it appears to be. We're going to do a lot of autocross events with it, track day events. I think they'll probably let us run it with the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. It's going to get used.
More of the NSRA Builder Showcase when Dream Rides returns.
Racestar originated back in 2009. We started the company to invent a new segment in the wheel market called street performance. We needed a wheel on the market that the everyday guy could afford. A guy that's racing his car on the street and the strip. So out of that, we created Racestar wheels. It's an inexpensive, cast, lightweight aluminum wheel for street and strip use. It's really opened up an entirely new market. We have a lot more guys getting into it now, and as you've seen on TV, we have a lot of guys racing on the street and taking their cars, going to work with them, taking them at night to run on the drag strip. We've got a new series ride here for us. We call it the 82 Pro Light. It's a nostalgic look. It's a look that's been with us here since the 80s, but Racestar had nothing in that market for what I call the Fox Body Mustang, and this is a real popular style that they're putting on the 80s and 90s Mustangs. We have the 32 Mirage. This is a nostalgic hot rod wheel. If you've got a 32, 34 hot rod, if you've got a 55, 6, or 7 Chevy or a 60s muscle car, that's the target market that we made this wheel for, and it's had a tremendous reception. We've got the new 12-spoke 34 Rattler wheel. Back in the 50s, when these wheels were originally made for like a 41 Willys gasser or a 55 gasser, these were all spindle mount wheels. Well, this is a 5-lug wheel, but we engineered to put this cover on it and put this cap back over it, and it makes it look like the original 12-spoke wheel that they came out with in the 50s. Most of our competitors' wheels today, they're a 10-spoke wheel with 5-lug mounts, and it doesn't reflect like the we originally did back in the 50s.
Welcome back to Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides. We continue with the NSRA's Builders Showcase, an invitation-only part of the Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky.
This is a 1950 Cadillac Model 62. John Rogers out of Chattanooga bought this car in San Diego, California, and had it shipped to Chattanooga. A couple of years ago, we got it. It was all original Cadillac motor, setting all stock, white wall tires. We had it all tore down, took it all apart, lots of panels to block sand. We fabricated sheet metal front fender aprons and a cross flow radiator and fans. The hood was in 2 pieces, and I welded the hood together and then leaded the peak down it and got rid of the hood ornament to give that hood a smoother look. And we did the pillars, instead of them being painted the silver or burgundy, we did that like a late model car. It makes those whole windows float and disappear, and the top becomes separate from the bottom, giving you a much longer, lower profile. Every piece of chrome on it's been redone. Every piece of stainless has been sanded, polished, and buffed. The interior's done all in leather by Pro Auto Interiors, Steve Holcomb out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and Smith Wheels out of California. Will Smith did the one-off belted aluminum wheels that look like sombrero hubcaps. In order to get the wide whites, we had Diamondback over to South Carolina, took 17-inch late model profile tires and put the white walls in it. Air ride suspension, front and rear, Fat Man's Fabrication front end, rack and pinion steering, 4-wheel disc brakes with Hydro Boost. Has an LKQ Cadillac steel block with LS heads and everything on it. Vintage air. It's got front and rear air conditioning units. It's got power windows, power door locks, power seats, front and rear handling bars so it handles well as sets well. You know, everything we could do to it, seat belts, safety harnesses. He wanted to be able to ride his grandkids around, so Papa decided to build a car that had plenty of room in it.
It's a 55 Chevrolet Nomad. I found the car in essentially original condition and shipped it to a hot rod shop in Mooresville, North Carolina, called Time Machines. Angelo Andolaro is the guy down there, did all the customization. Eric Brockmeyer did some of the design work. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with the car. I always thought 55 Nomads had too much white and not enough of the other color, and I wanted to split the colors about 50-50. So we worked with Eric to design the custom trim. The builder made the trim, and we split the colors. The darker color is a Aston Martin bronze, and the lighter color is a 1979 Ford French Vanilla. It's the root beer float. My grandkid dubbed it that. I also have an orange and white 56 Chevy, and they call that the creamsicle, so they've tagged names on all my cars. A lot of it has to do with desserts. My own personal taste, I don't care for very modern interiors in older cars, so I wanted the interior to fit the vintage of the car. We use the original rear seat. The front seat is out of a Cadillac because I wanted a center armrest. I didn't want the interior to overwhelm the exterior. I don't want any feature of the car to stand out. I wanted it to all blend together. And then we added a 383 stroker motor with a 4L60E transmission. It's a nice, reliable package and works well with the car. You notice the gas door, instead of the 4-inch square thing that comes out, there's a little button you push and a twist and it pops out. When you open the door, there's a piece of tubing in the rear of the car, and each side holds its own umbrella. There's dozens of little touches like that on the car. We're just pretty tickled with the way it came out.
Time now to learn about Dustless Blasting's tools and opportunities with Brian Loans.
Made in the USA are some of our favorite words here on Dream Rides, and the reason is we get to come to places like this at Dustless Blasting. The manufacturing facility here is really cool. American workers building high-quality American products, and they're built Texas tough. Not just Texas tough, but they're really built to tough international standards. Remember, these are pressurized vessels. And Zach from Dustless Blasting, you can speak to that better than I can. You take a lot of pride in the way your equipment's built.
Absolutely. We use the highest quality materials, we have the best equipment, and so we make the best tools in the world that are made to all international standards.
It's a very different thing when you come here and you see the stuff get made as opposed to just seeing the end product. The raw materials, the workers. How many different size machines do you guys make?
Well, Brian, we have so many different applications, from small graffiti removal jobs that are just little tools for people, all the way up to bridge blasting, water towers, where we make huge vessels. So we've got a great variety of different tools for different applications.
If you're a fan of metal fabrication, we're like in heaven right now. You have robotic machines, of course you have your workers using plasma torches and welders. It really is a neat place to see things go from raw material to finished product.
Well, we're so excited to share it with you guys.
So with the different size machines, with all the different applications, where can people learn more about not only the way they're built, but also what they're capable of doing?
Yeah, they can head over to our wonderful interactive website over at dustlessblasting.com.
You're also very active on social media, right?
Yeah, we sure are. We get a huge amount of participation from all of our contractors and customers.
Very cool. Zach, thanks for letting us in your house here. It's great to watch these pieces get made.
Thanks so much, Brian.
More of the NSRA Builder Showcase when Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides returns. Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Z-Max, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system. B&M Racing and Performance, quality performance products that work. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. Back on the floor of the Expo Center, we finish up our tour of the Builder Showcase with some wildly different rides.
It's a 1966 Ford Mustang dubbed GT Stinger. The customer's father-in-law owned it, and he and his wife learned how to drive stick out of this car. So when he brought it to us, he just said, you know, we want it to be black and it's got to have a manual transmission. So we put 302 Ford with Borla fuel injection. It has a Tremec 6-speed and the black paint job. With the hood, we did like a clear domes to show off the fuel injection system. We sculpted it, 3D printed it, perfected it, and had the domes vacuum formed. We restyled the whole front end. We took a brow over the headlights, so it kind of gives it a new modern look. Projection headlights, actually off of a Harley-Davidson. The vent glass is gone in the doors, no wipers, removed the cowl induction. People have asked if the car's been stretched. It says no, it's just the way the coupe body styling goes. Of course, it's got air ride suspension, and we upgraded the stock suspension. It's got that street machine look and feel. We actually did the autocross a little bit at the Good Guys Columbus. Big brakes, big wheels, stylish, modern interior, but still keep the Mustang classic look. Even still has a back seat in it, which is great because the customer has 5 kids. And that's what we like to do, is build a car that looks great, but it's extremely functional.
This car here, it's a 1954 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. The car was pretty rough whenever we got it. It needed floor pans, the front end was pretty bad. It was a customer that came to us and wanted this car restored in a way where he could drive it. It's not going to be a show car. He wanted to go out and drive it in the United States. So it's pretty basic. It's got a small block Chevy 350, a turbo 350 transmission. We went with a Ridez air ride suspension. We did put four-wheel brakes on it just for safety factor. We put the French headlights from a 55 over the top, 59 Packard taillights on it. The back bumper's all been channeled and fit. The top is now a power top. Hydraulic cylinders, no more manual putting it up and down. Vintage air, AC, and heat system. Pro Auto did complete interior for us. The paint is a PPG blue over a silver metallic base. It turned out really, really nice. Nice and clean, nice and smooth. I like the cars that are a lot more subtle to where you're actually looking for stuff that's not there instead of looking at all the stuff that is there. The gentleman actually came to us right after the car was painted, and he was super excited about the car, couldn't wait to drive it. We got the car done, and the man unexpectedly passed away before he got to drive his dream car. And the family doesn't want anything to do with the car. So the car is actually for sale at a very good price.
The 1975 AMC Matador coupe. What I did was I Googled top 10 ugliest cars ever. The Matador, along with the Pacer and the Gremlin, were on that list. I wanted me and our shop to have a challenge of taking an ugly car and making it cool. And therefore, if we can do this with a Matador, what can we do for you? We just took the ugly out and kept the cool behind. We took off the bumpers, which saved about 2 feet and 300 pounds right there, and then smoothed everything out, gutted the whole car. About the bodywork and the steering wheel is about the only thing left original on the car. There used to be a large triangular shaped quarter window there. I never liked that window because to me it made the front end appear to be too light. So by getting rid of that window, it gave it the appearance that we had flared the fenders out, which we did not. It just gave it that look. So those 19 by 11 inch wheels just fell under the car, no tubbing necessary whatsoever. So when we filled those windows in, we knew we had to put something in its place. We decided to do a window representative of the AMX logo, little trick of the eye. A lot of people think this is an AMX, when in fact it is a Matador. The paint job was done in-house by our own people. We used PPG paints. The color is called Dark Espresso Pearl. We did add a ton of aluminum flake to it to give it that pop. The color scheme I was trying to go for was I called Coke and Copper. So it looks like Coca-Cola when it's inside, and when it's outside, it looks like fizzing Coca-Cola. The striping is a base Nissan 370Z color, referred to as Redline Red, even though there's no red in it. We did that to try to match with the wheels, and we used that color on the engine bay as well to try to tie it all together in one nice neat little package. This little car was born with a little 304 in it, and it was toast when I got it. Because the car was being so customized, I felt I could deviate from the AMC power plants, so I wanted to go something a little more modern, a little more technical. And so we chose the Chevy 502. It's fuel injected, dual air ram. It fit like a glove in the car. It's a very beautiful engine, and with the little bit of body work that we did to the engine itself, it was the bow on the package. I think we're pretty good at what we do, but a Pacer, I don't think even God can do that one.
We've barely scratched the surface of the NSRA Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky. So we've got 3 more shows to try. Coming up next week, cars displayed exclusively in the various vendor booths. See you then.